Hello, hello, how are you? I hope you're well this day. And thank you for joining us today at Beautiful Literature with me, Teacher Martha. I am happy that you could find time. Like I always say, I have never ever taken it for granted. You could have scrolled up and decided not to tune in. But the fact that you're here listening, it's something to thank you for. And I hope that you're not new here, but if you are, I want to welcome you to the analysis of the Samaritan, which is a compulsory text in our English papers. And just check up the other things we've done. We've done a comprehensive analysis of the Fathers of Nations, the Parliament of Owls, and now we're on Samaritan. Samaritan, we've also done quite a bit. We are in Act 2, Scene 3. In the previous video, we talked about, we were in Act 2, Scene 2, and just a short recap of what we talked about. There was a discussion between Nicole and Mayor Mosi, and it was a lengthy conversation. We couldn't even go into the details, and encouraged you to have a look at it yourself and just see what kind of a leader Mayor Mosi is, who thinks everybody else is wrong apart from him. But Nicole put him in his place and kept asking, and so who's responsible is it? Who is the last person on the line? The buck stops with you as a leader. And of course, by the end of the day, Mayor Mosi, after all those things, persuasion, tried all tactics. It didn't work. And he ended up threatening Nicole. And he said, I want you to stop this thing. Find a way. And that's my number. When you're done, you call me and let me know that you're done doing as I have instructed. And of course, that is a very funny way of approaching this issue. And so we're in Act 2, Scene 3. And this one begins, it's another very interesting and scene where we get to see our leaders. What kind of leaders do we have? Who are these people? How did they even get themselves in power? But anyway, like Mayor Mosi says, we, the electorate, we are the problem because we are the ones who put them in power. And we knew they are thieves. We knew they are drug traffickers. We knew they are all these things. We knew they are DJs. We knew they are, and we still voted them in. So as he says, we are the problem. But let's look at them. They're in a meeting. They're in a planning meeting. Let me call it a planning meeting. It's the same Thursday, late afternoon in the Sky Room at the Madigo Golf Club. The Sky Room is a replica of the Jungle Room, and it's important for us to see that they are having this meeting in the Badingo Club. And the person who is there is the Deputy Mayor, Honorable Ramdae, Simol, and Honorable Ted. They are the ones who are standing around the table. What are they doing? They are drinking bottles of gold. They have bottles of gold, white and dark rum. The trio is sipping their glasses and gesticulating as they converse. They're having a good time. And they can afford the finest there is in the land. It means they have money. Whereas the people down there, they don't even have, the garbage is not collected. They don't have money. Everything is messy. But them as the leaders, they have all the money to do the things they want to do and to drink whatever they want. Now, the conversation that is in this room at the moment is very funny. And why do I feel like this conversation is very common in our Kenyan households? After we are through with our mandamano and we are back home talking about, did you see how that tear gas came at me? Did you see how I ducked it? Did you see how I picked that tear gas and threw it back to the police? Did you see how I threw that stone? Did you see this young man who was behind us who threw a stone at, those are the conversations that we have after we are through with mandamano. Now, that's the conversation they are having. And it's very funny because they are saying these hooligans were very brutal. And but I drew my gun. That is Simo. Remember, Simo has just been badmouthed by Mosi. And he's been accused of having a gang also that is called the Black Swan. Now, Mayor Mosi and Bembe, they also have their own gangs. Remember, they had been recruited. They had been bought for the things that they needed in the previous act. They had been paid and everything. And he even said that he'll bring undercover police to help the gang to make sure they've done demonstrations so that the motion of no confidence does not happen. Now the demonstration has already happened. Now they are doing a review of that demonstration. I hope we are together. So the hooligans were very brutal. And then he's demonstrating. But I drew my gun and I refused to run away. I dared them to touch me. So Ted says, one of them aimed a rock at my head. I never thought anybody could handle such a huge stone. It flew past my head like a rocket-propelled grenade. It missed my head by the thickness of a pig's bristle. Then Simon says, I was shocked. You could run. as you did at your age. You whizzed past me like an express train. I never thought you'd ever stop, would ever come to a stop. I think it was funny. I think they were just having a good time talking about how it went down. And this conversation is bringing us to a point where we understand that the demonstration happened. And he says, yes, the organization and speed suggest there is more than meets the eye. It was like a military operation. Can you say that? This demonstration was not just demonstration on the streets. It looked like a military operation. And they say, and there was smoke all over, burning tires, papers, mattresses, sacks, combined with tear gas smoke. Sadly, we never anticipated this. I think the mayor is a good organizer. Now, this is what we call dramatic irony. We, as the audience, we know what was being planned. We know that these things were being bought, but these the people, the part of the cast, they don't know. And Ramdai says, he's called Mosi Oyatunya, the smoke that thunders. He's a master schemer and a go-getter. And Simo says, it's very clear that we are at war. We need to carry on our plan to the last detail. We will not be cowed. We must mobilize the entire municipal council to pass a vote of no confidence against him and to get down to business. You remember we tasked you to talk to the councilors and aldermen and assess what is whether they will support the no confidence. Now, this is the basis of this scene, where now they are saying, no, it's true, we've been defeated in the demonstration. It is true the meeting could not have happened. But even when the meeting was supposed to happen, we were supposed to mobilize people. How far did you go with the mobilizing? Are we able to get people, the councillors, the other councillors and other men? Did we get them on board because we really needed to get them? And Ted is one who is being asked the question and said, yes, you did give me that task. And you know, our political landscape comprises councillors and other men of mixed ethnicity and as well as those from the Afro and Indus descent. I don't think we'll understand that very well, but just know it's like our Kenyan situation where we have many tribes in one parliament. And then then he says I was on phone with almost all night, and very little support was forthcoming. Now he's actually giving a feedback. In his attempt to mobilize for support, it didn't work very well. Most of them, they were not very supportive. They didn't show support because it is very hard. He said, I assumed wrongly that I would whip up racial and class prejudice to get many of them to support us. Can you imagine what politicians do? And that is what they do even to us as Kenyans. They will come and tell us this person, oh, you know this person, and it's just propaganda, it's just incitement, it is just, on ratio, for us it's more of tribal, but then they'll use the races because maybe they are mixed races and so on. They'll use their tribes and just divide them in those lines. And Ted had tried to do that all night, and he says it didn't happen. Now, he says, because our Nini has, our chamber has got very many categories. And I want briefly for us to look at the types that he's talking about. Number one, there's a type that is indecisive. They're not committal. They don't even know what they want. They don't even know what they don't want. Like there is one who is called Honorable Ferreira, or Mr. Key as they call him. He will never decide where he wants to sit. He's always on the fence. He does not even decide which fence he wants to sit on. He was never committal. He actually kept going round and round in parables and proverbs, and he didn't decide. I didn't know what he wanted. Finally, he never got in there. That is one category of the people. Number two, there's another category that is called headless. That is on page 77. He says there is a category that is headless. This one does not think. They'll follow their leader. And they follow the leader of the ethnic group who thinks for them. And they wait for that leader to make decisions for them in all matters, including the decision to go to pee. Most members in the People's Party of Basdeo belong here, and so do the members of Moses Liberal Party. No, this is very funny. It looks like our Kenyan situation, where we have most of the categories of our people, leave alone the people in government, are headless, that we can never make up our mind without. It is, if our leader from our tribe tells us this is the way to go, we will not think, we will follow him all the way. And he says he'll even make decisions for us whether we need to pee or not. Okay, that is insulting. But he says, if you look at the opposition, that is Basdeo, that is how his group looks like. And even the ruling party, Even his members are also like that. So it was hard to just get them somewhere. Number 3, it is called the entrepreneurial type. Remember, there is the indecisive one, headless. Now we are the entrepreneurial type. This type, they are political entrepreneurs, very keen on making money. They vote with the stomach, and so to speak. That means they will vote the side that gives them more money. And I think most of our politicians are like this, and most of our people. As long as you give people 200 shillings or you buy them what, they will vote for you. And of course, we see corruption. And I'm amazed that Ramdai is saying that is very sad indeed. Now, who is saying it is sad? Him is even worse. I mean, they are all evil people, so really they should not find that a problem. There's category number 4. Category number 4, at least there is this category of the independent-minded category. This type listens to and serves the people. Can you imagine? At least, even when there is a rotten, whatever group, there is still at least the 4th category of the independent-minded who serve the people. And of course, it's amusing, page 78, where Simo says, I get you, with contempt, as in, okay, so what? So they like to serve the people, so what does that have to do with me? I believe Honorable Yongurui, or he's called Mr. Developer. It's important for you to master these names. Mr. Yongurui, it sounds like a Chinese or something. Or Mr. Developer, as he's popularly known, he's the best example of this. And they go ahead and explain how he's a disciplined man, his ancestry is, all that. But now what is very sad is on page 78, the end of it, his political star has been rising steadily, with people thinking he's the right person for the mayor seat. Who knows? Maybe Mayor Mosi gave him a rat poison or some insecticides. The man can do anything to eliminate opposition against him because he's been unwell. He's suspected he's not been. I hear he's terminally ill, so we don't have to worry about him. Some say he ate an uninspected meat, so they are saying that his illness, I think it has something to do with Mayor Mosi. He must be the one who poisoned him because many people like him and they think he can become mayor. So Mayor Mosi is actually just removing any opposition. And finally, I expect the so-called Mr. Toch is also in this group of independent-minded people. And of course, Mayor Mosi, Mr. Toch is actually does not like Seymour in the first place. He does not even like Mayor Mosi. He doesn't like any of them. So he didn't take sides. Actually, he was asked on page 79. He said there is always a winner, even in a beauty contest of monkeys. I thought that is very funny. It amused me. That is his feedback. You're asking me to choose between Seymour and Mayor Mosi? I mean, those two. They are both monkeys. So one of them must come out as a winner. So in a beauty contest of monkeys, there must be a winner. So for me, any of them can win. I thought that was very insulting. And then, of course, Mo is not surprised about it. He actually says, well, he has never liked me. And he says, I gathered that. I realized he does not like you very much. And so that is the feedback that Ted is giving towards his mobilization. And then they remember that they were supposed to contact Basdeo, who was the opposition leader. What did he say? Did you talk to him? And of course, Ramdai says, yes, I talked to him. He was eager to work with you, as I told you. So they've tried all these members. It's not working. So the other option they had is to get the opposition leader to support them. And says, as I told you, it was him who approached me with the idea of impeaching Mayor Mosi. At that time, he didn't know we had already made that decision. He had promised to be here by this time. He should be coming anytime. So we get a feedback of what Basdeo had said. Basdeo didn't have a problem as long as it was a coalition or a coalition where Mayor Mosi, Simol becomes the mayor, and then Basdeo becomes the deputy. That's all he's asking. And Simol is asking, what is the problem with that? I have no problem. He can be my deputy when Simol becomes the mayor. And, it's very funny. On page 80, Ted says, this young man says, walking towards the door, come on, you guys, that's a breakthrough. Let's go to the bar for a beer to celebrate. I have a terrible hangover to cure. I need a cold carib or two. Now, do you realize that the accusation that Mayor Mosi had about Ted was true? He said that Ted was a DJ in a club, nightclubs, and he was forever drinking, and he's blind. He actually was calling him a bat. I mean, when you hear how Ted is responding, this is a very serious discussion we are having. And now him is thinking, can we go and have a beer? In fact, I'm having a terrible hangover to cure. If he's curing a hangover, that means he actually spent the night in the bar or something. And this is the kind of leaders we're having. And then when just that is going on, Basdeo walks in and the conversations go on. And this conversation is very important. And it's a very painful conversation. It makes me so sad. When I hear leaders, of course it happens. The leaders sit down in a room just to scheme and plan on how they will come to the electorate. They will come to us as the common mwananchi and lie to us and come and tell us things that are not true about the other leader and badmouth the other person and just, come up with stories that are not true. And of course, when Basdeo comes in, remember he had been invited for the meeting, and this is the opposition leader. He had been invited for the meeting by Ramdae, and so he comes in, and Simo, Ted, Basdae, Simo now are the ones who are in a meeting. And they start talking about what do we do. They are planning to alienate Mosi. They say, for us to succeed, we must be able to, what we need at this point is to alienate Mayor Mosi from the people. You see, if people have sympathy for him, we will not succeed. So the next step is to set the people against him. Can you imagine? And so the strategies they have for setting people against him are crazy. Someone says we must, they will hold a rally, and in that rally, they will tell people how evil Basdeo is. Mayor Mosi is. He's not doing this, he's not done the other. And they thought they don't want to use they thought someone would want to talk about, we need to, Mayor Mosi is not development minded. We will talk about building roads. He has not built even a spur. In fact, now Basdeo actually cut him short and said, you can't talk about roads. You actually cannot talk about roads. You need to incite people. You need to excite the people. You need to excite people's emotions if you are to incite them. Can you imagine? That now talking about that he has not done the roads is not good enough. What we need to do is to incite people and tell them of other things that he has not done. Now, the problem is the other things that he's talking about. He thinks he's very brilliant, that he wants to come up with more realistic things. And Ramdeo asks him, so how do you do that? Basdeo goes, and simple. We'll just say the reason we want him out is because he has earmarked all the money allocated for the municipality to the development of the wards occupied by the members of the ethnic group. Perhaps Honorable Smoke can note down the points. So that is negative ethnicity, where they say that the reason why we don't want Mayor Mosi is because the money that is meant for the whole municipality, he takes it to his own people. Where his people are, his tribe is where he takes. And Simo, by the way, Simo is not very happy when Basdeo tells him to take notes. He's asking, do I look like your errand boy? Why are you asking me to take notes of the meetings we are talking about? Of course, Ramdai, he's always the good one. He says, I'll record those things. And the discussions go on, and Basdeo goes to his politics is not about the truth. And Ted, at this point, as much as he's a bat and has hangovers, Ted is wondering, but that's not true. Why would we lie about that? Basdeo says, politics is not about the truth, gentlemen. I am teaching you politics now. We have to evoke the emotions of the people. Imagine that for you to be in politics, you must learn to lie. And lie to the people and let them invoke their emotions. Evoke their emotions. On page 83, Basdeo says, the people in these areas are mostly of the Oriental descent. So I don't even know how to explain this because for me it's very embarrassing. Where he says that the reason why the other very good way of evoking the emotions of the people, exciting the emotions of the people, I want you to tell them that their origin. You start telling them about their origin, and that story is very annoying. I don't even want to read it. Ted says it sounds like a fairy tale that no one can buy when he says the people in this area are mostly from the Oriental descent. So we create and widely circulate the story that these people of these parts are descended from the same ancestor as our people, the Indos. And then he says, just tell a story. In the beginning, there was an enormous egg with a diameter of 5 kilometers. When the egg broke mysteriously, Shangrams, the great, emerged very fast. Can you imagine? You are standing in front of people and telling them where they came from. They came from an egg that was the diameter of 5 kilometers. What do they take us for? These people are weird. And then he goes ahead to explain that don't worry. So when Shangramas went to fetch water, remember, very handsome, he fought 2 girls drawing What nonsense. Now, that is the story now he came up with that they can use to turn the people against Mia Mosi. I think they will miss it out. And Basdeo says, people are very gullible. Do you know that? Gullible means they can believe anything. Whatever you tell them, they'll believe. I think he's the one who's gullible here. He imagines that people are very gullible. And Ted gets to tell him, you're not exactly the man I thought you are, my friend. What are you talking about? That's coming from your head. Me, I thought as a political leader, opposition leader, you should have better things to tell us. And Basdeus goes on to say, we have to be very creative, my friend. Power does not come easily. In fact, we have to further divide Mia Mosi's ethnic group from other races by emphasizing their differences. People of Mosi's community have a peculiar smell. He does, resembling that of a beetle, while other people don't smell. Unlike other, can you imagine how we're even talking about smell? And that is what they will go telling the people. I don't want to read that for you because I think it's very annoying. But by the end of the day, they agree that they will come up with a rally and they will badmouth Mia Mosi, and they will tell the people how bad he is and he's not worth being their leader. And that way they will make it. And of course, they are reminded that they ask themselves, when can we do the rally? We are told we need to do the rally earlier because Mia Mosi is planning to have the 4 of us arrested. So if we don't do it earlier, we will end up being arrested. And Seymour is very annoyed. He's even banging the table violently on page 85 and say, let him try to arrest me. He will know. They will not even know what has hit them. But Dale finally says that I will immediately activate my media networks to have the rally popularized. Our allegiance will be unbeatable. I can assure you this brings the chapter of the so-called Mia Mosi to an end. That is how the planning meeting goes. These people finally have decided this. We will carry out a rally before we are arrested and before we are taken to court. And I will get the media coming in. When we get the people, we'll go lie to them and so on. Can you imagine these kind of leaders? And Ted says, you are really a master of deceit. Basdeo says, it is allowed in politics. That is how Act 2, Scene 3 ends. On a very sad note, that this text, the Samaritan, is actually a clear indication of the poor leadership, bad governance, violence, intimidation, dictatorship, corruption, bribery, all those kind of things. I'm hoping that you can see that as time goes on. I want to stop it at that. And thank you very much for watching. And remember to subscribe and share it with your friends. And in the next one, we will look at Act 3, Scene 1. See you there. Thank you very much.